Good evening, and welcome to Pynchon Pals, a podcast about finally reading Thomas Pynchon. My name is Patrick Fiorilli, and I'm joined, as always, by Andrew Tillett.
Afternoon, y'all.
And Duri Long.
Hello.
Up at the top, we'd like to thank our supporters at patreon.com/PynchonPals, where you can sign up for $5 a month to hear exclusive bonus episodes, like our recent watch of a triptych, I think Andrew called it one time, of V2 documentaries. That one just got released at the tail end of May. I have here in my notes to say what our upcoming watch is, but I don't know that we've decided it yet. Is it going to be Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
I think it should either be that or King Kong.
We're getting close to having to watch King Kong.
Yeah.
Or The Woman on the Moon. Should we wait and see if King Kong... I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about King Kong today, but, like, I don't want to lose track of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I keep feeling like this book is long enough where we'll have a moment to go back and watch a movie that is more centered on the crying of Lot 49, and then every week that goes by lends more material that we need to be watching for Gravity's Rainbow. And
that's why I'm wondering if maybe we should just rip the Band-Aid off and do our sort of like Looney Tunes noir film while we have the opportunity.
Okay. I mean, that works for me.
Okay. I mean, you two have both seen King Kong before, right?
I've never seen the original King Kong, I don't think.
Okay, neither have I. Okay, well, we'll do our best then.
What's the runtime on the original King Kong? The original King Kong is 100 minutes. That's a pretty low lift. We could talk about Who Framed Roger Rabbit and King Kong the same time. Do a double feature.
Two highly related movies.
Yeah. Or we could watch Peter Jackson's King Kong. That was a childhood favorite of mine, with a great Xbox 360 tie-in video game. That one's like 3 hours long, though, so I don't know if we really need to commit.
I don't know about the Xbox 360 tie-in, but my grandmother bought me a personal-sized pinball machine that was Peter Jackson's King Kong themed when I was a kid, and that was also an excellent tie-in.
Well, I have no childhood memories related to King Kong.
That's a shame. I'm sorry you were deprived in that way. It was a big moment for some. Okay, well, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you guys. Is next. Who Framed Roger Rabbit will be this month's, and then probably next month is King Kong or Woman on the Moon or something in black and white. We'll see.
Yeah, it's probably good to like alternate the really old movies with slightly more current films.
Yeah, exactly. Although Who Framed Roger Rabbit is practically, if you asked a college student today, I bet it would be like, that's an old movie.
Well, but it's not as old as King Kong.
Was Cleopatra born closer to the pyramids or to Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
It's a great question, which we might get to the bottom of today. On tonight's episode, where we're discussing episodes 2.6 through 2.8 of Thomas Pynchon's Gravity's Rainbow. Haven't said the name of the book yet, but we're each of us reading it for the very first time. Maybe some of y'all are reading it for the very first time, or maybe you are sort of chuckling to yourselves as three bozos bumble their way through layers of international espionage as we have before us tonight. I have a little espionage of my own that I undertook that is related to our previous Patreon exclusive episode on the V2 rocket documentary, where how did Star Wars come up? I mean, I know Star Wars comes up on this pod a lot, but
I think I said it was talking about that archival footage of Von Braun coming out with his cast on his arm through the doorway, sort of flanked by his lackeys, and he's in all black, and they're all sort of dressed in drab gray. Right. I said it looked like Darth Vader in the opening scene of A New Hope.
Which appears on the Tantive 4 or as I have always known it, and as you, I presume, have always known it, Andrew, the Tantive 4, the ship that Princess Leia is on, the Darth Vader boards. And I remarked that I had, like, every time I've seen Tantive Mucker Maffix
dies in this episode. You don't even know his name yet.
That's
I
why
guess you're not going to learn it. It's too late to learn it.
That's why I need to bring this up now. Every time I've seen his name, I've thought of the Tantive 4 from Star Wars for reasons that are maybe obvious if you've listened to this podcast and us talking about Star Wars, or me bringing up Star Wars, I guess. And I raised that I had half a suspicion that the Tantive 4 may very well have been named for our pal Tantive, God rest him, from this very book. The timelines maybe add up, I don't know. So I did some digging. Turns out that the Tantive 4, the spaceship, is not named in the original script of Star Wars, which, of course, was released in 1977. So, a few years after this book. However, the name of the ship first appears in the Star Wars radio drama that was broadcast on NPR in 1981. That is the first time the name Tantive 4 appears. That was broadcast in, as I said, 1981. It was written by Brian Daley, who was an American science fiction novelist, writer, adapted the Star Wars movies into these NPR radio dramas. He died back in 1996. R.I.P. to Brian Daley. But what I learned from that excursion was that they pronounce the Tantive 4 as Tantive. It is, in fact, the Tantive 4, oddly enough, even though it's spelled differently. People, including like the Star Wars Wiki, Wikipedia, have... I can't believe I had to say that on this podcast. Shout out to Wikipedia.
I'm embarrassed for you.
I've talked about how, like, the inspiration for the name being like, oh, like we've talked about with Tantive, like it's a rapid gallop, related to hunting, yada, yada, yada. Nobody has mentioned Gravity's Rainbow. I found like a Reddit post that tried to make this connection, but was unsuccessful. However, I believe I have found confirmation that this is in fact directly related. On Brian Daley's website, which I will link in the show notes, I encourage everyone to check out. It is a sort of beautiful archive of web design from the late 90s. Has a nice sort of sad but kind of heartwarming goodbye note from Brian Daley, who I believe had already been diagnosed with like terminal cancer at the time he made his final post. On his writing page, you can get a list of all of his novels, including the novels from the Gamma Law series, Gamma LAW. All right? Now stick with me.
Deep.
Would either of y'all want to click this link and read to me the names of these novels?
Sure. I am on it. BrianDaily.com.
Yeah.
Hashtag Gamma.
I sent you a link there.
Yes. Okay. The first one seems to be named Smoke on the Water.
And what's the second one named?
A Screaming Across the Sky. Wow.
Wow.
QED. Brian Daley, clearly a fan of the novel Gravity's Rainbow. So inspired by it he was that one of his books even takes a subtitle from the first line of the book. I think this is a clear-cut case. The Tantive 4 is named for Tantive from Gravity's Rainbow.
Should our next Patreon actually be a read of Gamma Law Book 2, A Screaming Across the Sky?
It kind of looks interesting. I wasn't turned off by the premise. Periapt High Priestess Dextra Haven and her ragtag force of scientists and ex-warriors arrive on the ominous planet of Aquamarine. You know?
Yeah.
So anyways, shout out to the Tantive 4, shout out to Princess Leia, shout out to Brian Daly.
Some A+ research, Patrick.
Well done.
I cannot find
to-
anyone who has made this connection before. So if someone has, please send it to me.
You've contributed to Pynchon scholarly research.
Yep. Yeah, you can find my presentation on this extremely important piece of trivia at the next meeting of, Pynchon scholars of the world.
I have another question that's going to come up probably after the break about a sci-fi reference in Pynchon.
Okay.
Just remind me to call back to that.
Sci-fi reference after the break. I'll do my best. Shall we get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it like these folks were getting into their hollandaise.
All right. Sequence 2.6. At the Riviera party, someone has spiked the hors d'oeuvres. Slothrop meets a strange fellow by the name of Blodgett Waxwing, an arms dealer in the middle of a complex business disagreement that leads to a Sherman tank crashing the shindig. Waxwing offers Slothrop a job in Nice, as well as a second-hand zoot suit as a token of good faith, and Tyrone realizes this could be his ticket out of the snare he's caught in.
We kick off with a new recipe for the Pynchon cookbook.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
Which involves a hollandaise, broccoli dipped in hollandaise, which took me a while to piece together because I really have only encountered hollandaise sauce on like an Eggs Benedict.
Yeah, that's the only place I thought people ate hollandaise.
They were like, oh, there's hashish in the hollandaise. There was a big run on broccoli. And I was like, what do those two things have to do with each other? And it took me a while to put together that it is a sort of French, maybe of the era, appetizer to serve broccoli dipped in hollandaise sauce.
Yeah.
Which sounds pretty good, honestly, now that I think about it.
Especially with, as Weisenberger notes, a 1/4 pound of hashish sort of sprinkled in.
Yes, and a variety of roasts laying nearby.
Yeah. Well, no one's eating the roasts.
No, they're focused on the broccoli.
Or they're asleep.
So that one's definitely going in the cookbook.
Yeah. Is this our second, depending on your jurisdiction, illegal Pynchon recipe? I feel like there was another one that...
I think it had to do with the banana frappe.
No, there was the magic mushroom brownies, wasn't it?
Brownies. Yeah, the magic mushroom brownies from this very book.
Wasn't the banana frappe also laced?
I think the banana frappe was not laced intentionally, but there clearly seems to be some cross-contamination in the kitchen.
He's using the blender as the...
Yes.
It seems like a great party.
Oh, yeah.
The intro to this section once again reminded me of sort of this theme of decadence that we've seen running across Pynchon's books, of just this sort of like wildly decadent party with sort of people asleep on the ground. And I feel like in Pynchon's book, if there's not someone napping on the ground, it is not a good party.
That's true. Our introduction to iconic character Rachel Owlglass is her napping on the floor of a party.
Someone has to be sort of horizontal.
Yeah, this intro is really sort of classic Pynchon. I feel like he's really we've watched Pynchon come into his own as a writer in some ways, I think, and his continued return to the party that seems really fun until it's not anymore is one of my favorite qualities of his.
When would we say this party hits that not fun anymore point?
That's a great question.
Maybe when the tank breaks through the wall?
I think no.
It definitely
it's still
there.
fun then. It is not fun once we know the precise moment, which is when Slothrop recognizes that is the sound of the 3-inch shell dropping into the firing chamber. That's the moment that it becomes not fun.
Not
Before
fun
that,
anymore.
It's just like if someone showed up with like a bulldozer at a house party, that could be fun.
Not if it's my house.
Well, this isn't your house.
Should Pynchon have started the whole book with this scene of Slothrop realizing a shell is being loaded, and then they do the record scratch? I bet you're wondering how I got here. And then we just go back to a screaming across the sky.
That's your cinematic adaptation of this book?
Yeah, that's my like Disney Channel original movie adaptation.
Yeah, it is a pretty wild situation to find oneself in, sort of facing down a tank in the middle of a crazy party.
You ever just been in a circumstance?
Not like this.
Tyrone Slothrop's in them constantly.
Constantly in a circumstance. Yeah, and he was just at that wild champagne party just like a few chapters ago.
Yeah.
He was hosting that one.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah, he kicked off that one.
Which is why he's drinking a Shirley Temple tonight.
Yeah, I like that he's very sober at this party. It's very funny.
I was like, why is he drinking a Shirley Temple? And then I remembered he's at this party as part of his plan to get Hillary Bounce, who does not come up.
Well,
I mean,
barely.
He is mentioned. He is literally mentioned, but not a lot of scheming happened with Hillary.
Yeah,
I really thought that was going to be a big
I was trying to
thing.
remember what intel he was trying to get on Hillary Bounce previously.
I think he wanted Hillary Bounce out of the way so he could use his teletype machine
Yeah.
in his room.
Which is, in his room. So I guess we don't really see this, but the implication that I got is Slothrop dips shortly after the tank situation and goes back to Hillary's room and then finds the information that opens the next sequence.
Yeah, that was my take as well. That sort of thing, all that plastic stuff is basically his memo that he receives back from Shell.
I see. Okay, that really clicks some things into place for me.
It's boring to write about someone accessing documents via like a teletype interface. Better to just sort of like gloss it all. Actually, we shouldn't talk about that intro quite yet, but I'll say now that it reminds me a little bit of the technique that is all over the place in Crying of Lot 49, where someone, instead of hearing someone tell a story, you just get the narrator kind of explaining the story to you.
Yeah.
Which we haven't seen so much in this book because Gravity's Rainbow is not necessarily as interested in concision and efficiency of storytelling, but
it's also worth, I guess, pointing out that like this isn't like nowadays you hack into someone's computer, you read their emails, you just type the keywords into the search bar. But in this case, he's like messaged an intern to say, send me this document. And then he's like, well, what do I do while the intern is searching out the info, curating it, uploading it, and like sending it over? I don't really know how teletypes work. But
and then presumably the machine physically has to type it all back out onto the receiving end.
Yeah.
It has to be printed letter by letter.
So you might as well go to the party.
And here I thought Slothrop was just having a fever dream about plastic.
No. He has other fever dreams later.
Hard to track.
So let's see, who do we meet at this party? The main
Raoul.
Well, Raoul is there, who's the fireworks heir.
Walking around with a horse, right?
The host, yeah.
And his 10-gallon hat, very Thomas Pynchon, for someone to be wearing a 10-gallon hat.
A lot of casual cowboy hats in Thomas Pynchon novels. Go ahead, Andrew.
I was going to say, our friend, the meanest customer outside of a Frankenstein movie.
Yeah. I kind of like this guy.
I want people to talk about me like that when I come into the room.
How are you going to make that happen? What can you take from this man's presence that you could incorporate into your life?
I think the white zoot suit and the gold chain, I can maybe like 6 inches taller too.
Yeah, he said, what does he have, a corn cob sized finger? Is it at one point what it describes?
I feel like he's dressed. Who's the sort of bad guy? Pete from like Goofy, Goofy, like Mickey Mouse Goofy.
Yeah.
And then Pete
Mickey
is
Mouse's
sort of the bad guy.
Or his neighbor, depending on which
neighbor.
canon you're looking at.
I feel like it's like that. That's who I was picturing. Sort of a cartoon. Yeah. Oh yeah. Wait.
Finding a picture of Pete in a zoot suit.
I'm copying a picture of Pete in what is very close to a zoot suit, and I will put it in the chat. This is what I was thinking about.
I'm so eager to see this image. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Was that, doesn't Tom from Tom and Jerry wear a zoot suit at some point?
Oh, he's got to. There's no
Oh,
way.
yeah, here we go. This is good podcasting. We're just posting pictures of cartoons in the chat, but here's Tom from Tom and Jerry in a zoot suit.
That's Slothrop in his zoot suit.
Yeah, definitely like racial caricature vibes going on there.
Yeah.
Well, that's every Tom and Jerry cartoon.
That's also, basically any time someone has worn a zoot suit out of a very particular historical and ethnic context. There's really only a limited window of non-appropriative zoot suit wearing, which is demolished like a tank broke through it by Tyrone Slothrop in these chapters. Yeah, so this is Blodgett Waxwing. Waxwing set off alarm bells in my brain for the opening line of Vladimir Nabokov's poem/novel/experimental fiction work Pale Fire, which has a waxwing crash against a window pane in the first line.
A cedar waxwing.
Brutal. A beautiful bird.
I was also reading on the Pynchon wiki that I read waxwing. I got excited because I like cedar waxwings, the birds. And first I thought that maybe the like kind of zoot suit with the red kind of resembled a cedar waxwing, which also has like a little red spot. But then I was reading on the Pynchon wiki that cedar waxwings eat berries and like don't digest the seeds, and then they pass through, and so they can eat like poisonous seeds and then just like distribute them elsewhere. And the Pynchon wiki made the connection that Blodgett Waxwing also sort of carries lethal baggage from point A to point B without being damaged himself.
Yeah, he sort of digests lethal things and moves them from point A to point B.
Without
I see
like personally being damaged, which I thought was an interesting connection.
I could see that.
Okay.
You really think Thomas Pynchon would make sort of like a poop analogy, though?
Doesn't seem like him.
I mean, there was just a horse pooping on the rug like 2 paragraphs ago.
Indeed.
That's not an analogy, though. That's just a good party.
Yeah, before we get...
there are people sleeping on that rug. I wasn't,
Yeah, it's pooping on the people.
I know. Yeah. Really unpleasant.
Don't be the first guy to fall asleep at the party.
Probably a nice rug, too.
Maybe that's when the party got bad. When the horse entered.
It probably also got kind of bad around the arrival of Jean-Claude Gongu, notorious white slaver of Marseille, who seems to be engaged in some varieties of sex trafficking.
Yeah, I was a little confused about what was meant by white slaving here, but...
Yeah, I feel like it can only be sex slaving is the only thing that I could think of that made sense.
But we get some more sort of rainbow color imagery where the girls who were hiding out in the trees yell that they would rather be a green slave, magenta, vermilion. It's a very colorful sequence, this Permo Casino Hermann Goring.
Speaking of, well, not exactly speaking of colors, but before we move on from this page, did anyone else notice that Slothrop had yet another interaction with a maraschino cherry?
Yeah.
Which I strongly remembered because he stole one from someone's drink in his earlier dream sequence, which would very much upset me if someone stole my maraschino cherry from, I mean, not sexually, just like in a very literal fashion.
I didn't even realize that Thomas Pynchon was probably making sexual puns with this.
I feel like we talked about that when we last spoke of that.
The whole Kenosha Kid section was a bit of a blur for me.
That's fair. Anyways, in this chapter, he drops a maraschino cherry on the rug and then squashes it as he takes a step backwards.
And then shortly after says what might be my favorite joke in this book so far, where Waxwing is talking about these two connections he has, that it looks like Italo is going to get here before Tamara. And he says, I'm not sure which one. And Slothrop interjects in a Groucho Marx voice, at this rate, Tamara's going to get here before tonight. I love this guy.
I'm not sure I got that. I'm going to be honest, until you just said it out loud. I was saying it in my head as Tamara. So, thank you for bringing that joke home for me.
Thank you, Thomas Pynchon.
I think it really, I think the 1-2 of Slothrop saying that and then Waxwing coming back at him with "Don't undermine my confidence in you" is really the right kind of cut down that Slothrop needs, because he does this sort of goofiness and no one's ever called him on it. And Blodgett is a straight shooter.
Indeed. Yeah, he's
also a fan of Westerns. I loved this.
Who isn't?
As a backstory, this is an excellent backstory.
Yeah, do you want to tell us what's his whole deal?
So he was in the army at some point, and
Till he wasn't.
But then he goes back sometimes. He's sort of on and off AWOL since the Battle of the Bulge, and even when he's AWOL, he still sneaks onto bases so that he can watch the sort of weekly movie nights, especially if they're Westerns. And he's seen The Return of Jack Slade 27 times. Good on him. Don't let the threat of imprisonment stop you from a good movie.
Feels like a very Pig Bodine sort of move.
Pig's got to have a run-in with this guy at some point.
For sure. I mean, just on the AWOL scene, you know.
This might be Pig Bodine, just under an alias.
Pig Bodine's secret arms dealer.
Pig Bodine does like reading Westerns.
It should be a Pig Bodine and Blodgett Waxwing buddy comedy.
Spinoff.
This Caserna, the actual place is Caserna Mortier in Paris. Was a real place. It according to Weisenberger, it's just been misprinted in every edition of this book, or maybe Pynchon intentionally switched the letter, but it seems to be based off of a real kind of black market / war profiteering racket that went on in and around the Caserna Mortier. I don't think it's really worth going into precise detail on what exactly
certainly not
the dealings are. This
I don't
very
think
much
I could
felt
if
like
I wanted to.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a courier's tragedy situation here, of like an intentionally complex sort of parody of a story.
Little Thurn and Taxis vibes.
But suffice it to say, there's a tank.
And a complex business dealing.
Complex business dealing
surrounding the tank.
Then Tamara shows up with the tank.
Comes right through the door or through the wall.
Yeah, there's been sort of a falling out in the business dealing that has led her to try to take some revenge with this tank.
She's cool. I like Tamara.
Guess about this was giving very like Perfidia Beverly Hills for me.
Oh, wow.
I can see it.
Just like blow up the joint.
It doesn't blow up. Because
no, unfortunately. I mean, fortunately for everyone, but maybe not what Tomorrow was planning.
Yeah, their 3-inch shell dealer is not as reliable as their Sherman tank dealer.
It's also the shell doesn't explode, but it does make a really loud noise as it's fired, which is interesting because Slothrop doesn't get an erection, so it can't be the noise.
It is interesting.
If only someone was around to document this.
Yeah. Slothrop says this is a datum London never got because nobody was looking. Hillary Bounce passed out too soon.
Hillary. But this impresses Waxwing sufficiently. He realizes that Slothrop can kind of handle himself and sort of single-handedly remove a woman from a tank, I guess.
Yeah, we skipped over that.
Like, this is nothing. I rescued a woman from an octopus just a short time ago.
We skipped over that. Waxwing gives him an envelope, and then at this point comes back to retrieve the envelope like 20 minutes later.
Yeah, this is a test, right? This is just a...
If
you open the envelope...
Or is the envelope the test?
Well, what Waxwing says is that this really happened tonight, but the octopus didn't. So I think the tank was unplanned. I think there's an interesting thing being said here of, like, only sort of things that are actually happening are not necessarily planned things. Planned things aren't really happening. They're just sort of following script. It's like a play.
Yeah, he was always going to defeat, quote-unquote, Grigori, the very large octopus.
I wonder if there's something here with the conditioning again, that like things that really happened are things that maybe Slothrop made his own agentic decision to do versus something that Slothrop was sort of falling into against his will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But suffice it to say, I think the envelope was a test. Like a little... If I come back and find this opened, you're not leaving this party.
And then he gives him a zoot suit.
Yeah, this bit felt... There's an Anton Chekhov story that I really like called Gusyev, which is about these sailors who are sort of in quarantine on a ship, and they're like slowly dying from sickness. And at the end of the story, spoiler alert, our sort of protagonist character, Gusyev, dies and his body is wrapped up and thrown off the ship. And you would think that the narration would kind of like end at that moment because he's been our perspective character, but Chekhov like zooms out and you get this kind of tableau of the sea and all of the life under the sea and the like shark that swims by the sinking body. And I was reminded of that little zoom out here as we get the backstory on the zoot suit that once belonged to Ricky Gutierrez, who was involved in the zoot suit riots of 1943.
Which was sort of a racially charged riot in which sailors sort of attacked people wearing zoot suits in LA, Southern California, East Los Angeles, for racial reasons. And also, I mean, there was some justification of like they were upset that they were using so much fabric during war times for these suits, but I think mostly it was just like a race thing.
White anxiety over race and ethnicity continues to crop up.
Yeah, and we have this beginning image of like Slothrop wanting to acquire and then dressing himself in a piece of clothing that was commonly worn by folks of a different race, which I think connects back to some of our other themes of changing color, etc.
Yeah. Weisenberger notes that the Zoot Suit riots were 6 nights of street fighting that left about 120 injured. 18 sailors were treated for serious injuries. In all, 94 Chicanos and 20 servicemen were arrested. And there was further violence that broke out following those incidents between, as Weisenberg notes, Weisenberger. I think sometimes I say Weisenberg. Weisenberger notes between whites and black Zooters in San Diego, Philadelphia, Detroit, and Toronto.
Yeah, this struck me as also kind of an interesting reflection on America. I'm not sure exactly what I have to say there yet, but Slothrop's Americanness is often kind of singled out and highlighted, and Slothrop being used by the British as like sort of a symbol of America or a sort of single representative of America, I think becomes complex and interesting when Slothrop is both asked to like speak to like racial anxieties in America and also is now like wearing the suit of this young Chicano man who was killed by sailors and cops in America. And I'm not sure where that's headed exactly, but I'm interested to see how sort of Slothrop's personal representation and exploration of the many slices of America continues to play out in this book.
Yeah, there's also something here of the suit itself is kind of laundered of its history by the process of sort of like being pawned and being exported and then being presented to Slothrop in a totally foreign context with like a fancy bow wrapped around it, like as a gift from this guy whose whole profession seems to be kind of laundering illicit goods and hardware.
Yeah, kind of like a cedar waxwing picked up a zoot suit in East Los Angeles and flew it over to Europe.
Cedar waxwings.
I think we've also talked some about, especially how inside of the sequences, Pynchon sort of starts and ends with similar imagery. And I think in this case, we sort of started this whole book with him in the sort of stereotypical on vacation outfit of his Hawaiian shirt and his like fancy tie, like goofy tie that he was wearing. And now he's sort of wearing this suit that Blodgett, this like underground arms dealer, is wearing. Like he's like, and then he promptly goes to start underground arms dealing. Sort of fully shed vacation Slothrop and are here, I guess, in undercover agent Slothrop mode.
Yeah, Slothrop really goes on a sartorial journey through this book. I mean, he's like in the Hawaiian thing. He wears a British uniform. He ends up in that wild sort of like peacock outfit. Now he's in a zoot suit. Along the way, he encounters women and all sorts of, mostly Katja, but also there's a woman in this chapter or episode who is wearing like a old, what do they call it? Pre-war Worth frock. So he's also encountering
that 5 times fast.
Yeah, that was hard to say even once. Pre-war Worth frock. Horrible. But he's encountering all sorts of fashions and also trying on all sorts of different fashions.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the one complaining earlier on that Katja was wearing too many costumes, and he's gone through every outfit in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shall we see what new clothes and identities Tyrone tries on next?
Let's.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and read my whole summary here, but given that this chapter this episode probably makes up the majority of our runtime tonight, we may break somewhere in the middle of it, but I'm going to go ahead and get the summary out of the way. This is sequence 2.7. Slothrop learns Imipolex G is a plastic developed by Laszlo Yamf for IG Farben back in the 30s amidst an international scramble for cartelized polymer synthesis that Slothrop suspects leads all the way to the Ministry of Supply HQ in the Shell Mech's house, which he fantasizes about raiding. He finds Tantavi's obituary in the morning paper and decides to take Waxwing's offer, giving Bounce the slip. At the meetup spot in Nice, he spends a sleepless night and receives his papers for Switzerland alongside further instructions. The recombining trains on the way there resemble polymers. His contact in Zurich is the Russian Semyonov, who sets Slothrop up for a little corporate espionage at the local cafes, where he eventually meets Mario Schweitar of the Sandoz Sandoz Pharmaceutical, who has a line on Yampf, R.I.P., and the Imipolex G manufacturer Psychochemie AG. Schweitar can dig up some info on Yampf if Slothrop can scrounge up 500 Swiss francs. Slothrop is flat broke and pretty sure he's being tailed, so he pawns his zoot suit and luckily meets an Argentine anarchist named Francisco Squalidazzi with a U-boat off the coast of Spain and big plans for quote-unquote reopening the German zone. If Slothrop can transmit a message to his man in Geneva and return with a response, he'll pay up. Up and over the Lesser Alps goes Tyrone before it's back to Zurich to pay off Schweitar. His agent drops off an envelope for Slothrop at Yampf's tomb, where Slothrop gets his first night of decent sleep in months.
Every sentence you just said sounds like one of those sentences that's supposed to have every letter in the alphabet in it.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
We were really on some international escapades in this episode.
We're wheeling
Practically
dealing
a Jason
like
Bourne movie.
We're wheeling and dealing like we haven't seen since The Crying of Lot 49. I did not expect to, in a mere paragraph break, be in Zurich and then in another part, or sorry, in Switzerland and then in another part of Switzerland.
It's not just The Crying of Lot 49 this reminded me of, but maybe it's just the talk of gauchos soon to come, but specifically the Florence chapter of V comes up for me here as a reference point, and the chapter in Egypt as well. But there's something about the hodgepodge espionage that really resembles the she hangs from the Western Wall. That's that one.
I forgot that Thomas likes to write so much espionage fiction. It's been so long since last fall when we were reading V.
He just likes spy stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And also the globe-trotting nature. I feel like V was always surprising me when I, thought it was going to be a novel firmly situated in New York City. And then, here we are in Cairo, here we are in Malta, here we are in Florence. And in this book, maybe you thought we were staying in London, but here we are in Zurich.
Should we talk about our deep dive into plasticity and what Slothrop learns from the teletype?
Oof.
There's a couple of interesting points in here. Imipolex G feels like that could be a good rap name if anyone's looking for a rap name. That's my first note that I have.
It's good. And your second note?
My second note was about the sentence that chemists were no longer at the mercy of nature. Kind of beautiful, kind of terrifying.
Yeah, also reminds me of Mauve.
Big Mauve energy.
Big Mauve energy, yeah.
This sequence. Yeah, there's something, too, about this notion of this classic study of large molecules spanned the decade of the 20s and brought us directly to nylon, which not only is a delight to the fetishist and a convenience to the armed insurgent, but was also at the time well within the system, an announcement of plasticity's central canon, which leads us into the bit that you just read, Andrew. But like this idea of the of this chemical process leading both to sexual fetishization and to like putting pantyhose over your head for the armed insurgent, like just felt like it was tying together a lot of themes in the book about sex and war and byproducts.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure.
My note was about plasticity's virtuous triad of strength, stability, and whiteness, which Pynchon Riley notes how often this was taken for Nazi graffiti.
For sure.
Yeah. There's some other funny little jokes in here. I like that Swiss outfit called Psychochemie AG, originally known as the Grossly Chemical Corporation, a spin-off of Sandoz, where, as every school child knows, the legendary Dr. Hoffman made his important discovery. They must go to different schools in Pynchon land.
I also chuckled at that.
The main thing that Slothrop learns, though, is that this Imipolex G is part of this mysterious insulation device that it is works its way in and through the German research into the Dutch shell headquarters, which is connected thereby to the British shell headquarters that is also being used as the what is it? Ministry of Supply headquarters, this Shell Mex house, which is a real place. You can look it up. It looks neat, has some architectural features, was in fact used for the Ministry of Supply, although Weisenberger notes that the implication of collusion between German and British sort of government and private research as far as rocket production goes during the war seems to be a Pynchon invention.
He just pushed it a few years earlier, you know?
Yeah.
As we learned from our documentaries.
Mm-hmm. There's a fun sequence here of the brilliant commando raid that Slothrop and he imagines Waxwing being there with him, where they sort of like storm the premises and gun down all the guards in a... I mean, this comes out well before the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie Commando, but very much sounds like the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie Commando.
And we get a proverb for paranoids. 3.
What is it?
If they can get you asking the wrong questions, they don't have to worry about answers.
And here I'm going to insert that clip of President Joe Biden quoting this. And if I didn't do that, you can go look it up on your own time, and I'll link to it in the show notes. But Joe Biden did quote this in a campaign speech at one point.
Did he really?
Yeah, he was like, Thomas Pynchon in Gravity's Rainbow has a quote. They can get you asking the wrong questions. They don't have to worry about answers.
That's so funny.
Do we think Joe is a Pynchon head?
Joe
Seems
might
like
be listening to the podcast.
There's
Hi, Joe.
way.
Hi, Joe.
There's no way Joe's listening to this podcast.
Wait, what else has he got to do? Probably like, I love those guys.
It's great when they talk about Star Wars.
Here's the deal, Jack. I love it when the Pynchon pals talk about Star Wars.
He does. Yeah, I mean, the Jackson, maybe that's where he got this from. It's sort of...
I did.
It's a Joe Biden-esque interjection.
I did look up Jackson, and it seems to be sort of very temporally bounded, like 1940s wartime American slang that intersects or just evolves into calling people Jack in a Joe Biden-esque way.
Interesting.
So, yeah, the draw your own conclusions.
First, the guy who did the play of A New Hope, and now Joe Biden. We were just uncovering Pynchon heads out here.
Pynchon Pals, just as a podcast, as a venture, grows slowly more conspiratorial as we dive into these books. It's unavoidable. I don't want to skip over this idea of that the question that Slothrop thinks he's got wrong is how high does it go, because what he really needs to look into is the hardware. It's not about the people at all, it's the machines. And there's some talk later on about information machines being kind of the way of the future. So this is, once again, Thomas Pynchon's interest in sort of computing and cybernetics and machine-human feedback loops.
I can't wait to see what Shadow Ticket is about.
I think the one we're really looking for is Bleeding Edge, which is the one about the internet.
Okay. I'll be patient.
Shadow Ticket might have some stuff about computers in it, but it takes place in the 1930s or whatever.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's less impressive if you've written something in 2025 and set in the 1930s that calls it shot about computers. Should we talk about S. Garat 11/00000?
How many zeros is that?
I think it's 5, but yeah, 5.
Slothrop hasn't even heard of anything with 4 zeros. We don't really know much about what that is.
We don't. But someone, Slothrop, is going to get to the bottom of it for us. I hope. Or this could be a classic Thomas Pynchon loose end.
We'll never find out about this mysterious rocket.
This one mysterious part that is in the documentation of the mysterious rocket. Yeah, it's at this point where, regrettably, we learn of the heroic demise of one Tantivy Mucker Maffick. And that big pile of shit, now Major Theodore Bloat.
What an asshole.
Teddy Bloat. I can't believe we used to like Teddy Bloat.
I can't believe we chuckled at him falling from the rafters.
Yeah, I wish Prentice hadn't pushed that bed underneath of him at the last second.
I'm beginning to think that Pirate Prentice, while the banana breakfast was charming, is not so great of a fellow.
Where is he? I'm turning every page of this book and being like, and his name appears towards the end of this sequence, but like I'm turning every page and being like, why did we spend all this time with Pirate Prentice? What is Pirate Prentice up to?
Well, Patrick, I've got good news. We have a lot of book left.
Yeah.
I forgot about Pirate Prentice. When he shows up at the end of, midway through this third part, I was so happy because it was like I'd seen an old friend for the first time. I run into on the street, Pirate.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we were all thinking that this was going to be sort of like a Benny Profane and Stencil situation where Pirate Prentice and Slothrop were the two main characters we were following in this book?
They still might be, Duri.
I feel like we've lost Pirate.
Here's the messed up thing. They still might be.
I feel like it's more of an ensemble piece. We've also got Roger Mexico thrown into the mix there, and Pointsman, and we've got a whole crew, a whole sick crew here.
There it is.
Yeah, R.I.P. Tantivy Mucker Maffick.
We think.
If he's dead.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to find out he was still alive.
Slothrop isn't so sure.
Yeah, he sort of says that retrospectively, basically he discovers this in a obituary in a newspaper that he sort of conveniently comes across. And at the time he's like, oh my God. But then he's retrospectively, maybe I was meant to find this newspaper. Maybe someone put it here for me to find. And we do find out later that Pointsman sort of intended to let Slothrop escape the casino as part of a increasingly sort of convoluted plan to skirt funding. Not to jump ahead of ourselves, but so it's entirely possible that this newspaper was planted. So it's a little unclear whether Tantivy is actually dead or not, but at this point, Slothrop believes he is.
There's such an interesting moment here of that he's caught up in this realization that this might be a plant, this might be part of the machine, but he also recognizes that if it's true, and regardless kind of whether or not it's true, he's still like feeling what they want him to feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a beautiful moment of like, I don't know that most of us have been like experimentally conditioned by any, you know, nefarious scientist per se, but like I feel like grief is like a really intuitive sort of conditioned response that like bypasses whatever cognition you might or intellectualizing you can have over it, that it's just like it hits you as a person, and there's like a bodily response to it where he's like gripping a table knife so hard he might break his hand. Yeah, there's no like intellectualizing or thinking his way out of it. Like he is feeling Tantaby's death in this very human way that I think reflects back on his other kinds of conditionings. He also meditates again on grace, which he, when he was drunk in the last sequence we talked about, in the last episode, he tries to console himself or sort of like move through the space with grace, and now he is trying to smile at Hilary Bounce with grace.
Which was convincing enough. He musters up the grace.
Yep.
And he's out of there.
Zoom.
Yeah, I can't blame him.
And he does it in such a Slothrop style plan. He puts his finds a sous chef named Cloud, and he puts him in a pair of Tahitian bathing trunks so that everyone thinks it's him on the beach. And then he gets that zoot suit on and drives out of town. Again, shedding his vacation clothing because he's all business now.
Yeah.
And he's now wearing the zoot suit.
And he's a niece.
There's a really good excerpt here when sort of towards the, I guess, end of this paragraph, he's talking about their I'll just read a brief excerpt. There comes to Slothrop the best feeling dusk in a foreign city can bring, just where the sky's light balances the electric lamplight in the street, just before the first star. Some promise of events without cause, surprises, a direction at right angles to every direction his life has been able to find up till now. I really liked that segment, and really, I feel like kind of highlighted some of, I guess, what people go to travel for. As Pynchon has reflected a lot on tourism and travel for various purposes in his books, I feel like this is an interesting little excerpt about kind of the possibility that being in a new city brings, and this idea of like going off in a different direction, or in Slothrop's case, maybe taking some agency over his own life.
It's kind of having his eat, pray, love moment.
Yeah.
Is that what that book's about?
Kinda, yeah. Finding yourself in a new place. Yeah.
No, but I agree. I also flagged that as a one of these rare moments of Pynchon gentleness and beauty.
Mm-hmm.
They're not actually that rare.
No,
he
they're
does
not.
it a lot.
I feel like they crop up fairly regularly.
He does it a lot, but I think it...
it counteracts all the time we've spent with poop in this book.
Yeah.
We need some beauty.
Where's the first place he shows up? It's what is the name of the hotel? It's an address on the Rue Rossini.
Oh yeah, this real dump.
Does it say the name of the hotel? It just says...
No, this hotel doesn't have a name. It's just off of the street. The staircase is tilted at some peculiar angle. And then he has a really bizarre interaction with the chambermaid, as it were.
Yeah, this lady's creepy. And she's got her hair George Washington style in rollers.
I like that they describe her as looking like a helpful critter from one of the other worlds. The sort of elf who'd not only make shoes while you slept, but also sweep up a little. And he starts to have this fantasy about, like, her sort of, like, making him comfortable.
And then she gets really cryptic.
Yeah, why did you leave? Is the first thing she asks him.
They wanted to help you. They couldn't have done anything bad.
Creepy.
And then there's still time.
A brief little fantasy of Tantivy just sort of showing up out of nowhere, not being dead, and asking, "Where was I, Slothrop?" That's a good one. Also very ominous. Maybe he was in the Forbidden Wing. Slothrop may be hallucinating this whole conversation. I could not say.
I mean, this is the first of multiple people who sort of come out of his past to him.
Mm-hmm. She leaves making a V for victory sign or warding off the evil eye. One of the two. Which I liked. Or maybe she's like throwing up the horns heavy metal style. You know, you never know.
That's where that comes from. The horns for the evil eye, because Ronnie James Dio would do it.
His donna.
Slothrop's whole passage through this hotel seems facilitated by, like, flashing Waxwing's card every time he runs into an obstacle.
The slightest bit of resistance, Waxwing's card is out of his pocket.
Waxwing's card. He's like, you don't know who I am.
This reminds me, speaking of the movie Eyes Wide Shut, as we have before, this reminds me of how often throughout that movie, Tom Cruise, who plays a doctor, like, flashes his medical license like it's a police badge. And he's just like, "Don't worry, I'm a doctor." Which seems to just be what Slothrop is doing. He's like, I have this.
I'm with Waxwing. It seems to work for him.
Yeah, he gets inside to this room where everybody is wearing yellow fedoras, the Borsellino hats.
Also very Waxwing, the bird, to do. Wear a yellow fedora.
Yeah. Oh, something else they brought, the Pynchon Wiki brought up about the Waxwing was that it has sort of this, like, black face mask on almost, which feels very spy-ish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead, Duri. You can post a picture in the Discord chat. You haven't posted anything.
Yeah, I'll post a picture of the cedar Waxwing.
Use technology. That's not going to help our listeners any more than the picture.
I think it's not so. It's really not so hard to Google.
Yeah,
cedar Waxwing.
Pull over. Look at it on your phone. Not while you're driving. Pull over, and then merge back onto the highway and get to work.
They're very handsome birds. I planted a tree in our backyard, actually, with the explicit purpose of attracting cedar waxwings, but I've yet to have success.
I was in the park the other day and saw a waxwing in the tree, and I was like, oh, wow, that's so beautiful. And then I came back by the next day, and there was like 12 of them in the tree, and they were being incredibly rambunctious. And you
were like, oh, fuck, I'm being watched.
They've been there every day since, and what I thought was a very fun sort of tangential encounter with a waxwing has just turned into 12 very loud waxwings that I can hear through my headphones as I take a morning walk.
Nature interrupting your podcast time.
I know.
Just say hi, Blodgett, next time you walk by.
If you, listener, hear any birds while you're listening to our podcast, tell them about the podcast. We could use the listenership.
I'm eager to see if the red-winged blackbird comes up in Thomas Pynchon. Speaking of annoying birds, as you walk, I am constantly being accosted by those things on Northwestern's campus. I have been pecked in the back of my head on several occasions.
As soon as he gets to the Midwest.
Yep. They're very territorial.
We'll get there.
And they put their nests all over campus, which creates some challenges.
Yeah.
I've learned to recognize their call. Duck and cover.
Put
You've been conditioned?
I've been conditioned by the red-winged blackbirds to walk with my hands over my head when I hear them.
Wear a pair of sunglasses backwards facing. There's some
that's a good idea.
Crows are definitely smart enough. I don't know if a red-winged blackbird is smart enough, but some birds are smart enough to recognize that they think those are eyes. They see the glasses and they're like, oh yeah, that's what people look out of. So if you have them on the back, they'll think you've got eyes on both sides.
Whoa.
In case
Welcome back to Bird Pals, where we give you tips for seeing birds, dealing with birds, being annoyed by birds.
Bird buddies.
Bird buddies. What is Slothrop looking for?
He's
trying to get a new identity.
A new passport.
Yeah, that's right. Getting a new passport.
This whole hotel feels sort of like a...
Haunted,
mirror maze. You walk into one room and there's a bunch of people wearing yellow hats. You walk into another room and there's a weird elf woman. I feel like he's going through this sort of dream space in sort of a very sketchy hotel.
But he doesn't quite get locked in his bedroom, but they do tell him, don't leave, don't get drunk, stay away from the girls. And then he just sort of
stay away from the girls who work here. I that they specify stay away from the girls who work here. You can get other girls.
It is a brothel as well. So
yeah.
And there's a lot of roaches. It seems kind of gnarly.
Yeah, so he's sort of Christmas Carol style, visited by several ghosts.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Who may or may not be guests at the hotel or actual sort of restless spirits. The first is Dumpster. Dumpster VR.
What a name.
Wow.
And then it's Murray Smile comes next.
They were in basic training together.
Slothrop's like, Dumpster? No, it's Murray.
Then Murray disappears and Jenny's there. And he's so glad because he...
Jenny previously, or is this our first encounter with Jenny?
I think this is our first encounter with Jenny. We've met Darlene.
Okay, because Jenny comes up again later, but okay.
He's so glad that Jenny's okay. He heard a rocket hit her neighborhood, but he didn't follow up.
He couldn't follow up. He was shipped out to the Riviera.
Eventually, he was shipped out. He had some time.
Yeah, that's true. He says, I just didn't at first. Yeah, Jenny is seemingly haunting him a little bit, I guess, if she is arriving at this dark night of the soul he's having. Yeah, we'll get to the list of girls who seem like there might be a situation where people call on a house and they're like, why, Jenny hasn't lived here for over 40 years. In fact, it was 40 years ago tonight that the incident happened.
I'm becoming a little concerned about Slothrop's women.
God, it's Jessica's right again. What about the girls? Jessica stays right.
I'm a little worried for Jessica. We'll get there. And then he gets sort of briefly haunted by Katja and Tantavi.
Well, he tries to get them to appear.
Yeah, he knows he calls it dark fish hiding and tries to kind of get them. Pynchon is so good at writing dream worlds. Yeah. I feel like this really captures at least how I dream, where it's like, oh, you're in one place and then you're in another place and someone shows up and then you realize kind of what's going on and you try to find what you're, most interested in, but you can't quite get there. Your dream won't let you.
It's like, what am I supposed to be dreaming about almost?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely had this happen where you sort of in and out of dreams. At least I'll do this sometimes. You'll be like, I'm kind of in a dream, and you sort of briefly wake up and you have just enough to sort of push the dream in the way that you want it to go. And then when you fall back asleep, you have sort of moved the setting in a way, but it's not enough. He can't get Katja or Tantavi.
But he does think about it like bending them like a note on a harmonica. We remember Slothrop's harmonica?
Oh, God.
That he drops in the toilet?
Not the maraschino cherry and the harmonica coming back.
Yeah. He gets fixated on things, Tyrone Slothrop.
You never did, the Kenosha Kid.
It's true.
Do you think that's
Still haven't done it.
Do you think that's a byproduct of conditioning? If you get conditioned, you're sort of inherently fixated on something.
Yeah.
Now he just gets fixated on lots of things.
Maybe you never did, the Kenosha Kid is like the word, the phrase that, what do they call that when like...
Oh, like an activation phrase?
Yeah, his activation phrase.
He's been a sleeper this whole time.
Uh-huh. Kind of like Bongo Shaftesbury.
Yeah, we still need to put Manchurian Candidate up at towards the top of our list. It's looking less and less. It's looking less and less good for Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I'm not gonna lie. The MPs show up, and Slothrop thinks they're so self-righteous that they sound like they might be Nazis, or what he has heard to expect of Japanese soldiers.
I thought this was a very telling quote here. He said, for possibly the first time, he is hearing America as it must sound to a non-American. What surprised him most was the fanaticism, the reliance not just on flat force, but on the rightness of what they plan to do.
Yeah. Snap, 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 snap for Thomas Pynchon.
You know? But I feel like it's a moment for Slothrop, who kind of comes from this like New England American family, came over on the Mayflower or whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of beginning to reckon with his Americanness.
All it took was to be sort of procedurally stripped of his identity over the course of several months.
Yeah. Yeah, I really feel like there's something going on here with his like Hawaiian outfit, you know, confidently wearing his sort of like, I mean, because Hawaii was a fairly recent acquisition.
It was not.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a state yet.
At this
in
1945.
Yeah, we didn't really touch on that much, but like it is like an unavoidable fact, especially in this book of the of positioning of Slothrop's character, that like the Hawaiian shirt is very much a byproduct, you might say, of colonial enterprise.
Yeah, like he wears the American colonial enterprise, and then he like wears the American race riots in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And
even right here, he focalizes this understanding of America through an image of cowboy actor John Wayne. I'm saying that in case, Duri, you revealed to me the other day you were not familiar with who John Wayne was.
I have to keep repeating to Patrick that I have not seen hardly any Westerns in my life, and he keeps being like referencing these different things related to Westerns, or expecting that I know what's going on here, and I'm like, I have to Google all of this.
Suffice it to say, John Wayne.
The
listener.
British know who John Wayne is?
Sure.
If you're British, write in to tell us if you know who John Wayne is. I mean, I don't think they have.
We
Turner
can't keep
Classic.
asking our British listeners to write in every episode.
Why not?
Just an email that says, yes, Andrew.
They don't.
No, Andrew.
They don't have
put British in the subject line of your email.
There's no way they have Turner Classic Movies where they just have like John Wayne on
Marathons,
television 20 like their dads probably don't watch John Wayne movies for 18 of the 24 hours in a day.
Maybe this is my problem, is that I never had cable.
Cable would get you John Wayne.
Yeah, so there was never like a cycling Western going on in the background.
I mean, back in the day, I think my dad had a pretty healthy collection of John Wayne VHSs and DVDs as well, but yeah, it was mainly
my dad was just not.
Yeah,
into
I think
Westerns.
it might just be a your dad thing. Doesn't he listen to this podcast? It's a your dad.
Yeah, he does.
thing.
Hi, David.
Duri's dad, write in if you have ever seen a John Wayne movie.
Yeah, write in if you can remember a time when Duri was a child and you were watching a John Wayne film.
Why did I bring up... Oh, I brought up John Wayne because the only way that Slothrop can conceive of this concept of hearing America is to picture John Wayne as like a kamikaze bomber and racializing his face along the way.
Mm.
So yeah, a lot going on with Tyrone Slothrop.
Yeah, I feel like he's reflecting a lot of different facets of America.
Is yelling bonsai a kamikaze thing? I thought it was like a storming, like it was like a more of a Japanese army kind of thing, and like running with the bayonets.
Oh, maybe it was.
I think. Yeah, okay. Famously associated with the Bonsai Charge, which was a all-out infantry attack.
Have I just been conditioned by pop culture to associate it with kamikaze?
I feel like they're sort of similar in their sort of last ditch. The way that I think we think of them now as sort of last ditch
Sure.
attack attempts.
Yeah. Good correction.
Thank you.
Be a shame when I edit it out. Let's see. It turns out the MPs are actually looking for somebody else who jumps out the window. So Slothrop is a free man, as he says it.
He's a new man.
A new man, a free man.
His name is now Ian Scuffling. English
war correspondent.
It's not as good a name as Tyrone Slothrop.
No. But I guess you beggars don't get to be choosers.
That's probably what you want. Something a little more lay low.
Yeah. He kind of asks why, what is his role in sort of their operation here, and he is told that he seems to be part of a pattern, and they, quote unquote, have to play the patterns. Waxwing's ensemble.
Yeah, I really didn't have much of an idea of what that meant.
Could mean plaid, could mean gingham.
He's in all white right now, so he is without pattern.
Yeah. Why don't we take a break here before Slothrop gets to Zurich, and we'll do our first mid-sequence episode break. Pynchon Pals will be right back. Welcome back. Slothrop is on his way to Zurich. Well, he's in Zurich, but on his way there, I liked this bit about the trains resembling polymers and molecules as they're sort of like taken apart and recombined. Good metaphor, Thomas.
Yeah, the sort of chemical process. Since I read this, I was kind of trying to look out into the world to see if I could see other good metaphors for chemical processes at work like this. Haven't gotten there yet. I will find one shortly. As good as this train thing.
Yeah, having seen how some of the L trains have to turn around in weird ways at various stations, sometimes extremely inefficiently, I'm not sure that, for instance, Howard Station has the best process for synthesizing new chemicals, but maybe other train lines work a little better.
I related to Slothrop's sort of dozing in and out of hallucination and sleep while he rides on the train. Trains make me very sleepy.
Mm-hmm. We get this the sentiment again that the war has been reconfiguring time and space into its own image. The track runs on different networks now. What appears to be destruction is really the shaping of railroad spaces to other purposes, intentions he can only, riding through it for the first time, begin to feel the leading edges of.
I underlined that bit as well.
We've talked a lot about time and space being warped by the war, but now also by the end of the war.
Well, in time and space, I mean, in a way, I'm getting out of my depth here in physics, but I feel like the rockets are also kind of playing with time and space.
you had a fast enough rocket. I mean, at an altitude, at a minute level.
I mean, they're going into space.
That's true.
Yeah.
And at a high, the further away you get from Earth, the more different time is.
I'm sure there are a lot of calculations involving time and space to make the rockets do what they should do.
There's less time up there. And
that's how they get ahead of the sound. I guess there's no sound in space. They leave sound fully.
There's a somewhat nicer hotel in Zurich.
It gets
at the Hotel
dropped.
Nimbus.
That's how you know it's nicer. It has
it's
a name.
Not a no-name place off the street. He interacts with his contact Semyonov in under a bridge. He goes out looking for Semyonov, the local waxwing rep. Finds him under a bridge in rooms full of Swiss watches, clocks, and altimeters. This whole thing reminded me of Orson Welles' speech in one of my favorite movies, The Third Man. Where Andrew, have you ever seen that movie?
Or not?
I think I tried showing it to Duri at one point during an evening, and there may have been some falling asleep during the movie involved. But Orson Welles has this great little speech. I'll just read a section of it, where he says, you know what that fellow said? In Italy, for 30 years under the Borgias, they had warfare, terror, murder, and bloodshed, but they produced Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and the Renaissance. In Switzerland, they had brotherly love, they had 500 years of democracy and peace. And what did that produce? The cuckoo clock. Felt that going on in some of the Swiss vibes here. Or the relationship between war and conflict and the sort of strained neutrality. And in Semyonov's case, a relationship to technology and information.
Semyonov tells him that the first thing he needs to understand is that everything is specialized and that there's a cafe for every want and need. Even information.
Yeah, what happens when, quote, information comes to be the only real medium of exchange? End quote.
Slothrop tries to be cute and is like, I thought it was cigarettes. And he's like, you dream. What indeed? Yeah, I guess it's the birth of espionage.
When the birth of like an information economy
Mm-hmm.
that just trades on sort of corporate secrets and like large scale patents and
Yeah, which is oddly what Slothrop has sort of been ingesting ad nauseum, or like the sort of trade secrets information of the V2 rocket.
yeah, it's kind of his job now.
Yeah, he's kind of a human computer.
At the very least, an information broker. So yes, his assignment here is to go to a couple different cafes and just kind of pick up on some information, see what he can find out. We get another show tune, this time with extensive stage directions for Loonies on Leave, a musical number about how you can't tell the difference between someone who's crazy versus someone who is like trying to sort of sell you the Brooklyn Bridge versus someone who's trying to sell you actually the Brooklyn Bridge.
And we get into this because Slothrop is sort of musing on all the people who have come down from the asylums in the mountains.
Very Magic Mountain-esque.
I was also thinking about Magic Mountain there.
Yeah, there's a weird collection of people at these cafes, and he's looking around and he can't really tell who's on the up and up from who's on the black market, from who's in the legitimate market of their industry trying to conduct business in a neutral zone. There's like a certain name for this kind of like that number in the Music Man. That's P, that stands for pool, right here in River City, with like, it's a quick talking musical number.
Oh wait, no, I don't got it. There's one of the not the newest season, but the second to newest season of Only Murders in the Building has a plot point about this type of song as well.
Really?
Yeah,
we're not up on the latest. A patter song, that's what it's called.
Yeah,
like I am the very model of a modern major general, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's very much what I got from. Got an amazing deal for you here, American. I thought so.
Yeah, like a little cutaway.
Mm-hmm. 3-card Monty on the sidewalk. 3-card Monty on the side. Walk.
Reminds me a little bit of Violet, the musical.
Yes. Yeah,
you saw with me.
I do. I'm trying to remember if there's a patter song in Violet.
There's like a whole song where they're on the bus and it keeps cutting away to different people.
Oh, sure.
Like
yeah.
talk, like there's like a chorus and then it keeps cutting away to different individuals and there's like a little conversation and then it goes back to the main song. Is that what a patter song is?
Yeah, or yes, but oftentimes if it's like spoken very, very quickly.
Okay.
Like rhythmically and quickly, and the whole song is kind of a tongue twister. Interesting.
I in the midst of this tongue twister, I was kind of asking if I don't know, this might be a reach. I was wondering if we had another sci-fi reference here.
To what?
Well, in the second nut or keeper dialogue, he says, now you've heard about the 200 mile per gallon carburetor, the razor edge that never gets dull, the eternal boot sole, the mange pill that's good to your glands, engine that'll run on sand, ornithopters, and robobsters, etc.
You thinking of Dune?
I was thinking of Dune briefly, with the engine that will run on sand and the ornithopters.
Can't believe I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, Dune's 1965.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it could have been a Dune reference.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not convinced it was, but it did pop into my head as I was reading this little bit.
That ain't bad.
I don't know what a robobster is.
Like a robot car?
I tried to Google it and it was not informative.
There's a Oh, no. Google corrected me to robobooster.ai, a real-time digital map of your lawn. Which
There's
is
unfortunately like a lot of...
A real-time digital map of your lawn? What is that?
This is not an endorsement
There's
of
grass
RoboBooster.
here. There's grass there.
Let's go outside.
There's a little more grass over here.
Yeah, I think it's
the
just like...
most efficient cutting routes. That's hilarious.
I think it's just like... This sounds like the kind of thing that one of these nut or keepers would be hawking at the cafes in Zurich.
A lawnmower traveling salesman algorithm? Jeez. Just go up and down in lines, people.
Here I was just thinking of the Weird Al deep cut hardware store where he names a bunch of different, some real, some fictional things that you can buy at a hardware store. You heard me, got a little goatee made out of steel wool.
I feel like that's on point, and like Pynchon threw in a few things from Dune and also an imaginary robo-bobster which doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I think that's the vibe here.
Yeah, now I want this is the song I most want to hear, kind of, because I love patter songs.
I'm gonna have to Google a patter song. I feel like I need a audio.
Yeah, unfortunately I won't be able to play it on the recording, but
yeah,
you can go look up your favorite.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up after the recording, but
Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire" is listed as a patter song on Wikipedia.
Okay.
Or Animaniacs, all of the countries in the world, also a patter song outside of a musical context. But the person Slothrop actually ends up meeting is this Mario Schweitar. Green frogged waistcoat. Just popped out of the echoing cuckoo clock of WW2 here. And he wants to sell Slothrop some LSD.
I feel like we might need a sort of Pynchon fashion magazine in addition to our Pynchon cookbook. If you would have asked me if I would have expected Gravity's Rainbow to be chock full of interesting clothing, I'm not sure I would have said that was on the list of things I was expecting.
Yeah. Did y'all get the LSD pounds, shillings, and pence joke?
Pounds and shillings. I don't. Is pence demarcated with a D of some kind?
It used to be before 1971 as an abbreviation from the Roman coin denarius.
Interesting.
It's a good joke. I liked this one. Also feels very sort of Groucho Marxian in a way. This guy's from Sandoz, which is a real pharmaceutical company.
But they love showing up in this book.
Doesn't everybody? I don't think Sandoz Pharmaceuticals probably does not care that they are painted in a certain light in Thomas Pynchon's Gravity's Rainbow. I'm sure they've got money.
It's not the worst thing that's
Small
happened
potatoes.
To a pharmaceutical company.
Yep. Slothrop learned that Imipolex G is the company albatross, quote unquote.
It says they have vice presidents whose only job it is to observe the ritual of going out every Sunday to spit on old Yamp's grave. Which is how Slothrop finds out that Laszlo is dead.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Laszlo.
Remind me, Slothrop still does not really know his relationship to Laszlo, right?
Yeah, I think he only knows that he invented Imipolex G and he's interested in Imipolex G. I don't think he knows about the Forbidden Wing connection yet.
The baby Tyrone situation.
Yeah, although Laszlo Yamp was in that joke book published out of Cambridge, Massachusetts, so it's possible that he knows the name of, like, oh yeah, there was this guy who was like he visited when I was a kid or something, and I heard his name, but I don't think he knows that he has any actual connection to Yamp.
Gotcha.
Way to remember the joke book, Patrick.
I'm always thinking of the joke book.
This is why you run a podcast. Memory like a bear trap.
But only for this kind of thing, and that is not so useful in other parts of my life. Slothrop's eating a lot of good sausage and cheese throughout all of this. I got kind of jealous. I was reading this before dinner, Freudian slip, and I was like, I wish I had some Vice first. That sounds good.
And at some point, he kind of becomes sort of broke.
Yeah. It's right around here.
Yeah.
Because he realizes that Schweiten wants 500 francs. Slothrop hasn't got 500 anything, unless it's worries. And so he decides he needs to make some money. Oh no, not the suit.
He sells the suit. He can't have anything nice. He gets one stylish outfit and he instantly has to give it away every time.
Yeah. I like the advice that Semyonov gives. Like, you should start thinking about your visibility. Just walking around Zurich
in a zoot
suit. Sterling white.
Gold chain.
With red lapels. Yeah. Slothrop doesn't know how to blend.
Hide in plain sight.
Yeah. You want to tell us this next proverb, Duri?
Yes, please. Proverbs for paranoids. 4. You hide, they seek.
Yep. So he hides.
Because he's being followed. He sees a black Rolls Royce. Thinks that
He presumes he's being followed.
And we kind of get confirmed later that yes, indeed.
He uses that English accent of his to call the hotel and ask for his compatriots, and he gets linked right to them. And then when they answer, he's confirmed that they're English agents in the country.
No one has very good OPSEC in this book.
It's the 1940s. You just call up the hotel and you're like, is MI6? I'm here with MI6 and I've forgotten what my room number is. Can you please tell me what that was again?
This isn't MI6. This is like some bozo hired by pointsmen.
He's the Secret Service. No, we find out that these are Secret Service agents.
Oh my God.
So it's maybe MI5.
That's embarrassing.
I don't know.
Or are they American Secret Service? Probably not.
That's embarrassing. You can't delegate a task,
But it's not their fault. It's it's just the concierge who puts him through.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now maybe you shouldn't stay at the hotel that he's staying at, but
this is the thing about hacking and security. Anyone will tell you this. Your security system is only as strong as your weakest link. And if your concierge is just telling people who's staying there.
Look, Switzerland
the human is always the weakest link.
Switzerland has historically been very good at not telling people who's there, and they really dropped the ball on this one.
They really should have staked him out at a Swiss bank.
That's why this guy works at a hotel and not a bank. He doesn't have the wherewithal.
Well, he'd like to work at a bank, but he can't find the banker cafes. He only knows the hotel cafes. We get a nice little onomatopoeia of the William Tell overture, which is, I had this in my head earlier. Oh, yeah. Zun diddle-lung, diddle-ta-ta-ta, ya-ta-ta-ta. I spent a good long while trying
Thank you, Patrick.
That's why you just finished the reading before we started recording. It's because you were doing that instead.
I was zung diddle lung ta ta ta. So long, Zoot.
That made me sad a little bit.
Zoot.
I drew like 4 frowny faces in my margins in this chapter.
Long, Zoot.
It's when Zoot Suit left us. When Tantivy Mother Math died. Allegedly.
Maybe, do we think Yamf is actually dead?
Slothrop says that Yamf was never actually really alive, so...
Wow.
Oh. What does he know about Yamf? Nothing.
I don't know. We just know it ought to be making more of a difference to him, except that the man was never really alive, so how can he really be? Hard to say. So broke, he goes to the Cafe Odeon, hangout of Lenin, Trotsky, James Joyce, Dr. Einstein, when they needed to connect with the real people, the proletariat energy, the hoi polloi. And here he meets Francisco, who is reading a 15-year-old newspaper.
What an interesting character Francisco is.
He's definitely of a type that we have met before. This
strongly resembles these books.
He strongly resembles the revolutionary that Oedipa meets in the late night restaurant, in the diner or whatever.
Yeah. He's got, the Gaucho. We've already talked about the Gaucho once on this episode. But he and his friends have fled Argentina because of Perón. And they did so on a U-boat, smuggling themselves to their hopeful final destination of Germany, which is a very fun twist on the usual conspiracy theory for U-boat smuggling.
I couldn't help but be reminded of the German U-boat in Chicago that was floated in through the Great Lakes and now lives in the basement of the Museum of Science and Industry.
Well worth a visit.
Just, it came to mind because of the challenges of trying to smuggle a U-boat somewhere that is somewhat inland. And trying, like, he's kind of storing it off the coast of Spain and trying to figure out how to get it to Germany, but it's a big thing.
Yeah, they picked up their U-boat in Mar del Plata, which did have several U-boats show up in the months after the war and surrender there. And, in each instance, the crews were investigated and interrogated on whether or not they were smuggling high-end Nazis into the country. High-ranking, not high-end. They're not of high quality.
This season's latest ex-Nazis.
But Slothrop points out, he's like, why do you want to go to Germany? That's the last place you'd want to go right now. And it turns out that Francisco sort of wants to, like, exploit the situation in Germany to create sort of an anarchist state, was at least how I interpreted this.
Well, see, and that's your first problem, Duri, because it can't be a state.
I'm sorry, just an anarchist zone.
And Slothrop runs into the same conundrum. Because he's basically like, it sounds like what you're trying to do is sort of take over the, like you're trying to occupy the territory. And Francisco's like, well, no. We want to open the territory.
Open the zone.
We want to open the zone, make it not a territory.
In the openness of the German zone, our hope is limitless.
And he relates this to a sort of Argentine national predisposition, a nationalist predisposition toward building labyrinths, and references Borges, who we've talked about several times in this podcast.
I thought you'd be excited to talk about Borges and to get a direct reference.
Yeah, full-on name drop.
Full-on name drop. Yeah, Borges' big first collection of stories, Labyrinths, as it was published. I think it was published as Labyrinths in the original. Was that just the translated title? You see, I think Labyrinths is the title of just the English translation. But Borges wrote a lot about labyrinths. And in fact, this idea that we get in the next sequence of like a fictional story, or like artifacts or a physical presence from a kind of fictional world or a work of fiction sort of materializing seemingly out of thought and out of fiction into the real world, is very much the plot of a really great Borges story called Tlon Uqbar Orbis Tertius, about like a organization that tries to invent a world through propagating these sort of fake encyclopedias, and then eventually things from that fake world start appearing in the real world.
I feel like Slothrop's Americanness comes out again here, where Francisco is talking about, the contrast between the open land and then building up fences and labyrinths. And he kind of has this discussion of like the labyrinth under the street of Buenos Aires. And he's like, but it longs to return to the anarchic oneness of Pampas and sky. And Slothrop is like, no. Like, that's progress. You can't just have open range forever. Like, you have to build fences. That's the American dream. That's property.
I wanted to
manifest destiny.
I wanted to shake him and be like, Slothrop, what do you think all the cowboys are sad about in the cowboy movies?
I feel like this is the beginning of Slothrop's realizations. He's like, his whole worldview was just confronted by this idea that we might want to return to open land and tear down the fences. Shattered his American dream. This felt a little Oedipa Moss, honestly. How, like, in several moments in The Crying of Lot 49, Oedipa is just like, wait, what do you mean? Like, that doesn't match up with my conception of how the world is from my sort of sheltered suburban life. And I feel like here Slothrop's like, what do you mean property might be bad?
Yeah, there's sort of points when Oedipa gets caught being a square. Yeah, Slothrop's definitely fallen into one of these traps right now.
But he decides to help. He's like, I could get behind this. The Slothrops have their own appreciation for a certain kind of anarchism, I guess, historically.
Not with Protestants, but the original anarchists.
Yeah.
Not the Protestants, the Puritans.
Yeah, that's...
I guess maybe the Protestants, too.
Yeah. He flies over on a battered DC-3. I imagined, your classic shot from like an Indiana Jones movie of the red line moving across the Alps on the map. And he meets or hallucinates a meeting with Richard Halliburton, the adventurer and explorer. Real guy alert. Think I looked this up. In real life, Richard Halliburton died in 1939, or at least presumed died in 1939 after disappearing at sea.
Was he at all related to the Halliburton Oil Company?
Let's see.
Or is that just a separate thing called Halliburton?
I don't see a relation.
Oh. Wait, okay, let me confirm that and make sure it's not just AI telling me something. I'll dig into this later.
You'll dig into this.
And report back.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything about his relation to Halliburton, the conglomerate.
Okay. I came to mind because we have a lot of discussion of oil and plastics, and so I was wondering, but maybe this is unrelated.
Yeah, Halliburton, the oil company, was started by Earl P. Halliburton.
From
Tennessee.
Cousin of adventure writer Richard Halliburton on Wikipedia.
Oh, is that for real? Okay, because
yes.
AI was telling me that, and then I was not able to find another source that was telling me that, and I didn't want to misquote.
This does not seem to be mentioned on Richard Halliburton's Wikipedia page. Oh, no, it is. Relatives, Earl P. Halliburton. Okay, yes.
Okay, so he is related to the Halliburton Oil.
Halliburton Oil funded some of his adventures, I believe.
An oil-funded travel adventure is the most Pynchon-esque character I could possibly imagine.
Yeah. So here he appears, quote, strangely altered. He's got a rash and he's pockmarked. Yeah, a failed angel. Underneath them, there's the skiers on the slope acting out the fascist ideal of action, action, action. And we learn that Slothrop knows of Halliburton's adventures because his brother Hogan used to read National Geographic.
Once again, Slothrop's brother coming back.
Slothrop's brother. Read it and weep, Andrew.
I'm still not buying it. If none of these girls he's sleeping with are real, maybe Hogan's not real.
That, yes, could be very much true. He gets to Geneva. Clouds blow slowly from the sky. Mont Blanc says hi. Lake says howdy, too. Goes to the Café L'Eclipse, which is a great name for a cafe, to meet the Argentine contact.
Who does eventually come. And they do sort of exchange of info by way of him making change with a 50 peso note.
I loved this. This sounded like a great way of clandestinely revealing or trading information.
Kind of like the drop all my books in the hallway sort of routine. pick them up and suddenly there's a note in the pile.
Yes. Yeah.
I've watched a lot of high school dramas.
I was going to say that's probably somewhat harder to do in international corporate espionage or or sort of like I don't know how many anarchists are sort of rolling through high schools and slamming into teenagers.
They could drop their briefcase on the floor.
They could drop their briefcase. Yeah, you're right.
Anyone could be carrying a pile of papers.
There's a big clock over him, but the thing that is most freaky is these faces that he keeps reading around him who strongly resemble all of the now no longer youthful Ivy League faces he grew up around. And he realizes that there's just CIA/OSS agents and operatives all around him.
Creepy.
It is creepy.
Goes back to Zurich. Really doesn't stay a lot in Geneva. And the next day he goes to pay off or to give a down payment to Mario.
Yep. Is this where... Yeah, Squaladotsi doesn't show up anywhere. So he just gets the sort of like half up front. He does not ever get his full payment for the second half of the operation. But it seems like it is plenty, nonetheless.
Yeah, the original amount was supposed to be enough to cover what Schweitar needed and like months worth of general expenses. So hopefully his half up front pays the 500.
I like, just because I was looking down at the page here, that OSS has a very, Pynchon imagines, or maybe this is real, I don't know, a very sort of frat bro initiation ritual where they all repeat os from the late corrupt Dark Age Latin word for bone.
It's very, I feel like that comes up a lot in Crying of Lot 49 too.
Mm-hmm.
Idea of bones.
But also this like equation of like, it's the CIA, but they're basically all just
It's
frat
just a
boys.
frat. Yeah.
It's just a fraternity. It reminds me of the conversation he had with Tantavi, where it's like, in America, we're upfront about what we're doing at the Ivy League universities, and it's making business deals and, you know, shaking hands with future CIA operatives.
Mm-hmm.
The Slothrop regulators were involved in Shay's rebellion. You raising a hand, Duri?
No, I was turning a page. Sorry.
Yeah, this is, I vaguely recall this from like AP US history. Protesters march on Springfield Armory. This was 1786 to 1787. The Articles of Confederation was unable to finance troops to put down the rebellion. So there was like privately funded local militias, and basically it led to the United States being like, we should do like, this isn't working, we need to have like a different constitution. Then he goes to Yamp's crypt.
It kind of sleeps really soundly.
It's a very like classic ghost story thing of like, ooh, spend a night in the tomb.
Afraid he's going to be, he's afraid he's going to be visited by the ghost of Yamp, but he doesn't come. Perhaps because he's not dead. It just feels like a twist that this book would do. Is that Yamp is under some crazy other name.
Or YAMF was an acronym for a special kind of top secret robot or something.
Whoa. Yeah, it feels very full circle for Tyrone that he's now getting his like first good night's sleep next to the grave of the man that sort of conditioned him as a child.
Be a kind of like father figure in some ways.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's speaking of conditioning, I noted this sentence: the absence of Yamf surrounds him like an odor, one he knows but can't quite name, an aura that threatens to go epileptic any second. Maybe it's smell conditioning? Does the rocket have a smell?
Interesting. It could be like the burning alcohol.
We'll see. Any last thoughts on 2.7?
What a
What a
ride.
romp. These 3 episodes together all felt very, very Pynchon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like this was really like we were moving. It was tight. Hopping from place to place. Things were happening. I moved pretty quickly through this section. I feel like it kept moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're quick reading, but you fall into the sort of Thomas Pynchon trap, I think, of so much is happening, and you sort of you're losing what is happening based on just the overcome by events problem.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I read part of this at like 4 a.m, which isn't helping me.
4 a.m?
You know, sometimes I wake up and I can't go back to sleep, and I just think I might as well read Thomas Pynchon.
Yeah. I think it's fine when that happens unless you're doing a podcast, and then like 150 pages later, Francisco Squaladosi shows back up, and you're like, oh, fuck, who's Francisco Squaladosi?
That got lost in the shuffle at 5 a.m.
So I encourage everyone to go write their own little summary blurbs. It helps me. All right. Sequence 2.8. It's late May. The war in Europe is over. Pointsman is high on his own supply, or what's left of it anyway. Half of Pisces, probably soon to be reorganized or shuttered, is gone, but he's got a couple of guys working their way across Slothrop's map, rather unsuccessfully, since he's totally lost track of the man himself since Zurich. They can't even find Darlene, or any trace of her. Now, Pointsman's vacationing on the beach with Roger, whose camaraderie he desperately needs, Jessica, whom he desperately wants to get rid of, Katja, whom he distrusts, and Dennis Joint, a strapping fellow of the Special Projectiles Operations Group, who wants to annex Pisces. Pointsman appears to fly into a hallucinatory rage, perhaps centered on Katja and her connection to British intelligence's recent discovery of an apparently very real Schwarz commando cell operating in Germany. To the Freudians, it's a kind of manifestation of all of white Imperial Europe's anti-black fantasies, realized and focalized through the image of King Kong's fist wrapping around Fay Ray.
I got a real kick in this section out of Pointsman's fall from grace.
It serves you right, buddy.
Yeah, we predicted in the last episode of Pointsman that he was a little too high on his own supply. And boy, did I think it was funny that they've lost track of Slothrop, and that it was like not necessarily because they lost track of Slothrop at the casino, but because Pointsman was trying to, pull his little bureaucratic gamble and try to get out of, paying agents to watch over Slothrop.
He's trying to subcontract.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, let's subcontract. Let's delegate this. This will be cheaper. And then they lost him, and just like golden stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was really funny. The Pointsman does feel a certain obligation to go relax. There is also, of course, the crisis.
That cracked me up.
Pynchon's so good with a funny capitalization.
So funny. Pointsman is so funny. I feel like Pynchon is really good at making a ridiculously incompetent sort of bureaucratic character just very funny.
You get such a good, I think, look into the way Pointsman thinks about himself through this section, and yeah, it's very funny and something. I don't know what I was gonna say. I totally lost that train of thought.
Occasionally thinking of himself as the Fuhrer, and he's this
lonely.
Must kind of be how the Fuhrer felt.
Yeah, and just constantly calculating. He's even got this beach trip planned out about how he thinks he's gonna, let the conversation flow. Just like constantly wants to be in control of everything, but actually is not in control of anything.
Should we talk about the firm?
The firm is back.
The firm is back, and we learn a little bit more about them. It seems that when Pointsman told that one guy a couple of sequences ago that his meeting with Clive Mossmoon was incidental, that was a lie. Clive Mossman was an oil man, right? He's
Plastics.
Plastics. Oh my God, it's plastics.
Oh fuck, plastics.
Damn.
It's always plastics.
Plastics all the way down.
I mean, plastics is also oil, though, so
Yeah.
what can you do?
You know, it's plastics, it's oils, and then it's bones.
Dinosaur bones.
Mhm.
Wow. Look at this go.
We're figuring it out. I like that he knows it's his fault. And I like the Anglo-American team of Harvey Speed and Floyd Perdue. Perdu being French for lost. They are trying to investigate a random sample of Slothropian sex adventures. But we get here again Mindless Pleasures, the original working title for the book. But they're not having a lot of success.
They did see a cantaloupe for the first time since FDR's third term.
And then they get weirdly sort of sexually violent with the cantaloupe. One of them turns its head something like a villain in like a movie serial who like grips the damsel in distress's head.
Yeah, weird little escapade here.
These aren't the two that I would put on a job that I needed to get done properly.
I also maybe wouldn't name my job Says Who, the Slothropian Episodic Zone Weekly Historical Observations. Just a top-notch acronym.
Yeah, most interestingly, well, they can't find Jenny, for one, but
Can't find
Slothrop,
Jenny.
she's dead,
Yeah,
presumably.
haunting Slothrop.
But then they also can't find Sally, Sybil. I'm going to assume that's Sybil.
Hmm.
Angela.
Sibylle? Yeah, I don't know.
I've never heard the name Sibylle. That could be an English thing. Angela, Catherine, Lucy, Gretchen, and not
Or
even
Darlene.
a Darlene. And Mrs. Quoad is
Candy
a
Lady.
flashy young divorcee, not some old
Whoa.
candy lady.
Is Slothrop a ghost?
I mean, he is kind of like,
Are these women in the future?
whoa. The war is playing with time and space.
That's true. Cause and effect might be sort of radically altered by all of these events or the lack thereof.
Maybe they are in the future.
I mean, Gravity's Rainbow is an event that happens in the future because it is deterministically going to happen, but you don't know it until after it happens. But it also happens before it happens, in a way.
There's something also about all these like old-timey outfits that Katja's in. I feel like there is something here with time travel. We'll just have to see.
Andrew's just shaking his head
I don't
in
like
physics
this.
as we're like, it's kind of like when you fall through the sky, it's like time travel because you're in one place at one time and then you're at another place at another time.
Is all motion time travel?
We're really getting into sort of like Zeno's paradox core.
But why else would Mrs. Quoad be young and have never heard of Darlene?
Yeah.
She never even knew that English children were named Darlene.
Well, Andrew never knew that English children were named Sibylle, so that makes two of them. Sometimes Andrew's laughter doesn't pick up on the mic. I just want the listener to know that Andrew did laugh at that. He didn't just sort of silently take it on the chin.
My mic, doesn't like to record my joy.
And then we get this image of the moray eel.
I love this eel.
That's creepy.
I want to point out it's a big moray eel, just like the octopus. This is the biggest moray eel anyone's ever seen.
Gigantic. And it's dropping. You walk into again up there with the like falling of the tentacles in terms of weird analogies. That
or the like, yeah, you hear something when you don't want something to fall, and then it falls and makes a loud noise.
I think this is up there with that when. Pynchon is like, oh yeah, like Pointsman is thinking, when are you going to see it? And then he's like, just the way that you would think, when you walk into a bedroom and a giant moray eel drops from your ceiling on you. When are you going to see it?
Like when you win
As
the
though that
level
is something
in,
we so often relate to.
It's like when you win the level in Nidhogg.
I don't get that joke.
It was for Patrick. Don't worry, Duri.
Yeah. Shout out to Nidhogg. And Nidhogg 2. Oof. Yeah, and also the eel wants to have sex with you. Perhaps. It makes a long human sound that you know horribly to be a sexual sigh.
I want to know why there's an eel in Pointsman's bedroom.
It's Pointsman.
Well, he says it right after
strange.
That is to say, Pointsman avoids the matter as reflexively as he would any nightmare. Should this one turn out not to be a fantasy, but real, well...
This is his worst nightmare, I guess. Being attacked by a sexual eel.
Yeah, it's Slothrop being a ghost and him being attacked by an eel.
I am into this idea of Slothrop as a ghost. I mean, Slothrop is currently sleeping in a crypt. He has this, like... lengthy Puritan ancestry. We've gone through his like lineage. He's kind of embodying all of these different aspects of America.
I mean, he does talk about when
the past, he's the present, he's the future.
There's the colonial ghost in the attic that Slothrop mentions when he's thinking of his childhood home. From the last section. Yeah.
Something fishy going on here.
Because the eel.
And Pisces.
Pisces.
Are eels fish?
Fish is not a real category. It's like vegetables. It is a... There's no positive term for what a fish or a vegetable is. They're loose categorizations. I learned that by watching like QI or something. Shout out to British television.
It does seem that eels are fishish.
Fishish?
Fishish. If fish is not a real category, they are fishy, fish-like.
We get Pointsman sort of working through what he would tell someone about how the data isn't quite complete. I thought that was very funny. Sort of him back in his academic researcher who needs to keep the funding rolling, sort of papering over the issues that they're having in the research.
Remember, act sincere.
Yeah, this is our introduction to new character. I'm pretty sure we've not encountered Dennis Joint before.
I don't remember a Dennis Joint.
I don't either.
SPOG is a real organization. Like
really?
Yeah.
That's also a ridiculous acronym.
I think it's kind of like a minor sub-organization within a larger thing, but it was real.
SPOG.
And also the British effort to recover V2 stuff was indeed called Operation Backfire, which is funny.
We get a reference to the American Army Ordnance Group here, which if you've listened to our Patreon episode, you'll know that one guy was a member of, James Hamill. Is that his name? Because it was like Mark Hamill.
From Wisconsin, yeah.
Who retrieved Von Braun.
100 V2s worth of material and smuggled them out.
And like 14 tons of paperwork. If that sounds interesting to you, might I recommend patreon.com/PynchonPals to hear us talk about a documentary that you can go watch for free.
Really selling us, Patrick.
But we talk about it really well. I mean,
Thank
you
you.
know how well we talk about Pynchon, and you can read that for free too, if you already have the book.
Go to the library and get it for free.
That's true. Support your local libraries. Everybody's worried about Slothrop being on the loose, especially with the Soviets interested in some of these rocket things. Von Braun and 500 engineers are held up and soon to be going to the United States.
What we know now is actually 134 engineers from that one documentary.
I tried to double check this. It seems like though there were like 125 like scientists who were given like leave to come to the United States, but like there were more people. I don't know what happened to the other couple of hundred, but like there were also some additional few hundred, I guess, like minor engineers and not top men, to quote Indiana Jones, who I don't know what happened to them. But I similarly thought, like, wait a second, Thomas. Brigadier Pudding is ill.
And we get an update on some of our other characters. Rollo Grost, assumed back into the Society for Psychical Research.
Treacle
Treacle
bailed.
setting up a practice. Myron Grunton is now
He's back at the BBC.
back at the BBC. So the whole sick crew is disbanding a little bit post-war.
They've still got Rosie. Rosie won't leave.
And then we have just a funny subset of Pointsman Mexico, Mexico's girl, Dennis Joint, and Katja.
What a nightmare of a work trip.
Nightmare blunt rotation.
My God.
Can you imagine
How do you think
getting,
Pointsman sold this to the team?
He must be like paying them all. I don't know why Jessica agreed to come. Like
getting invited on like a long weekend to the beach by your boss?
Who's the
And it's
worst
just-
person in the world?
You, your girlfriend, your bad boss, some guy from corporate, and then
Dennis?
the weird lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, just an absolute nightmare.
They're like out at the like the boardwalk, like with the carnival games and fried food.
And Pointsman has just the funniest approach to this whole thing. Like, he has a whole plan about, like, you know, my plan is not to talk shop, but to let the conversation flow naturally. Wait for others to betray themselves. Like, he's, like, conniving. He's
such a
scheming.
funny manager.
Slothrop,
He said, like-
or no, Pointsman is definitely the guy who's like practicing conversations ahead of time.
Yes.
You know, he's doing that.
I mean, he did
constantly.
that like 2 pages ago.
Well, yeah, because if you know the response that you're going to get from your stimulus, you might as well practice it well in advance.
Yeah, he can control everything. You know, if only he had all the information, he could control what everyone would say to him, and all conversations would become a lot more predictable.
This is where Pirate Prentice is mentioned again. Prentice is coming down to the White Visitation, but Pisces now has a branch office in London called 12th House.
Named by Webley Silvernail, the guy who keeps the mice.
And the like AV equipment.
I'm glad he came back.
And then, speaking of, we're always talking about Katja's interiority. I liked Pointsman's perspective on Katja's interiority, which is it possible for this woman to be in love? Love? Oh, it's enough to make you scream. What would her idea of love be? Maybe we'll find out.
Then we start the hallucination.
Mexico. I think I am hallucinating. But Mexico, I want you to know one thing, and it's that you're making it worse. It's so funny.
He's hallucinating. Dennis Joint is meanwhile trying to hit on Katja.
Yeah, such a what does Pointsman think? Yes, leadership material here, definitely. Because he, quote, judges old Katja here to be a jolly girl out for a spot of fun. Jessica turns into Fay Ray.
What do you think this means? Like, is she just doing her, like, scream face?
I think so. The companion notes that this isn't the first time that there is a Fay Ray comparison.
Yeah, it happens
Jessica's
earlier.
done,
like, she does, like, a little bit.
Yeah. I think she's...
Imagine running into these four on the boardwalk. Like, there's one guy who's hallucinating. There's Katja, who's probably dressed in some sort of crazy get-up. There's this, like, normie business guy, Dennis, who's trying to hit on the woman in the crazy get-up. And then there's Roger and Jessica, who's, like, pretending to, like, scream. Just, yeah.
Yeah. And then it turns, like, genuinely, like, people are scared of this man who seems to be hallucinating. Jessica has a kind of protective paralysis akin to your own response when the moray eel jumps you from the ceiling.
Oh, yeah, as so often happens.
Beautiful callback. But this, quote, is for the fist of the ape, for the lights of electric New York, white weighing into the room you thought was safe, could never be penetrated, for the coarse black hair, the tendons of need, of tragic love. This is our introduction to the King Kong business.
The tallest, darkest leading man in Hollywood has finally come to roost.
What was, what's her name? Theory. Oh, Heroic Love.
Yeah.
Yes.
From the
Mafia.
Here we have Tragic Love.
As noted by fictional, although I'm sad this book doesn't exist, film critic Mitchell Pretty Place's 18-volume study of King Kong, where he sums it up as, yeah, well, you know, he did love her, folks. And that brings us into this kind of meditation on, like, desire, hidden desire. The Freudians, like Treacle, are reading this as a kind of sadistic desire for the other, or to both, like, dominate and be dominated by the other, like the big, scary, black other. There is this is related to, I think, to the King Kong cultists, or KKK.
I didn't realize that.
I didn't catch that either.
Who are interviewed by Mitchell Pretty Place.
And you get this section on Murphy's Law, or Gödel's theorem. When everything has been taken care of, when nothing can go wrong or even surprise us, something will. And I guess the example they give is General Pudding's attempt to do a treatise on Europe in politics, and how he didn't even mention Hitler.
Was that his, like, combinatorial exploration of?
Yeah, his pet project before he re-enlists to be in charge of the White Visitation.
Where he was pretty sure there was no conceivable universe where this Hitler guy was going to be a problem.
He hadn't made it to that permutation yet.
Yeah.
If only he had a computer.
I feel like I commonly hear Murphy's Law stated as, like, what can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah.
It seems to be sort of Pointsman's life.
Definitely now. There's a lengthy explanation of Gödel's theorem in Weisenberger that addresses the long-standing problem of axiomatic consistency that I'm not sure I totally understand, but it has to do with like mapping the consistency of all possible mathematical axioms within the system of arithmetic. So you could, like, prove logical consistency across all sorts of arithmetic or something. I'm not really sure how that relates to things going wrong.
Is it like, well, I mean, I think all three of these things are like
Proving
all
universals.
And like all the permutations.
Yeah.
And somewhere in all the permutations, there's going to be
a universal consistency.
Or something that goes wrong.
Mm-hmm. So yes, this is how we learn that as a determinist piece of hardware as the A4 rocket will begin spontaneously generating items like the S-Garotte Slothrop thinks he's chasing, like the Grail. So we learn that even that seems to be a byproduct of like the rocket itself more than like it. I mean, this is Stencil with V all over again. That like Stencil is creating the chain of associations by bringing all of these things and people together rather than actually uncovering a pre-existing truth. He is like mapping the creation of the conspiracy. This is the legend of the black scape ape we cast down like Lucifer from the tallest direction in the world has come in the fullness of time to generate its own children, running around inside Germany even now, the Schwarz Commando, whom Mitchell Prettyplace even could not anticipate. Like a magic spell, they say that they have actually created, inspired, developed a like black resistance revolutionary cell inside Germany.
Who would have thunk the propaganda worked just in the opposite direction of what they were thinking it would do?
Manifesting is everything.
Yeah. And this has obviously caused some shakeups in Pisces and across certain sectors of British intelligence. There's been, quote, a frenzy of accusations, crying, nervous breakdowns, and areas of bad taste. We get some callbacks to, like, several, I guess, particularly unpleasant images throughout the book thus far. The, Penelope, Jessica's niece, appears back, and with the implication being that the ghost of her father returns night after night to her bed in a deeply unsettling way, or like in a perverse Freudian sort of way. Some of the folks at Pisces are developing theories about anti-blackness being tied, quote, to feelings about shit, feelings about putrefaction and death, which has cropped up several times. Like, this is kind of what Slothrop is thinking about when he's in the sewers, that he can understand something about he can understand something about white people from their shit, but he doesn't understand other races in his strange fantasy.
Yeah, it seems that, I guess, like, thesis here is that sort of repressed drives, whether that's sort of like repressed racial anxiety or repressed sexual things, are like becoming reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes the ghost. It makes
like your Borges encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Actually, like,
yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, like as they're writing this into existence, or it's actually coming to exist in the real world.
And this is like, one of the critiques you can level at, I guess, like strict Freudian psychoanalysis is like, how much is the analysis sort of provoking you or leading you toward like the invention of repressed traumas as opposed to accessing existing traumas. It's the same sort of like cause versus effect stuff that we've been. I just
watched an old episode of Law and Order SVU about exactly that.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's all about sort of a psychoanalyst who sort of led someone down the road of inventing a repressed memory that wasn't actually a memory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is like a thing that has been leveled against psychoanalysis for ever, I guess.
Yeah, I think there was some like medication and like hallucinogen or something involved in the process.
And amidst all of this, Pointsman starts thinking about there could be a likely candidate here, cream-skinned Katya under the wheel of fortune, and that roulette wheel shows back up, who seems to be especially freaking out. Pointsman has lost control. He's supposed to have absolute control over Katya. Where does this leave her? In a control that is out of control. Not even back in the leather and pain of gemütlich Captain Bulcaro's world has she felt as terrified as now. Gemütlich means cozy. And then Pointsman starts hearing a voice talk to him.
A voice that's telling him to kill Jessica, which is very upsetting to me. I wrote in the caption, "Oh no."
Or just send her into the zone with the ATs.
But the ATs were the female brigade of something. Then we looked at they were
the auxiliary
the turn or something.
Territorial service.
Oh, the Rins. Those are the
that's
the
the Navy one.
That's
Yeah,
the
this
Navy
is
one. The Army one.
The ATS are or the ATs are the Army one.
Someone's got to go into the zone. Jessica can go find Slothrop.
Maybe she's going to be Dorothy in the next book.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll never forgive Pointsman if he breaks Roger and Jessica up.
They seem like they're having a pretty bad time without him. Maybe they need some space.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
This Dennis Nayland Smith and Alan Sterling are both characters from the Fu Manchu novels, speaking of sort of racialized panic and anxiety and the insidious other. Dennis Joint tries his own Groucho Marx line of like, we should find a doctor, but it's not as good as Slothrop. He can't pull it off as well.
The voice starts talking to Pointsman about synthesizing an east and a west.
Yeah. Protagonist and antagonist.
Yang and yin.
Opposites. Pavlov.
Wait.
Ultra paradoxical?
Is it ultra paradoxical? Okay. Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Right, yeah, ultra paradoxical. Paradoxical is when you get small response, big stimulus, or small stimulus, big response. Ultra paradoxical is when you get positive response for negative stimulus.
The lack of stimulus, yeah.
Wow.
Feels like so long ago we've talked about Pavlov.
Ages.
I feel like I could pass like a 101 level class by the end of the time by the time we're done with this book. I think I should get some credit hours.
This is what they should do. The introductory sequence for every university should be your first year you spend reading Gravity's Rainbow, and that teaches you everything you need to know about Psych 101, world history, letters.
This is a technique in learning sciences called Islands of Expertise. Like little kids get really into trains, and then you can teach them about everything through the lens of trains. I feel like, if your island of expertise was Gravity's Rainbow, you could really teach someone about anything.
Or you could ruin them for life.
That's also true.
One of the two. Well, we finished book 2, y'all.
Oof. And I'm excited for book
2.
3. Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Don't read ahead, Duri.
Sorry, stop reading ahead. We have to go in the zone.
We're not in the zone yet.
I didn't go into the zone.
Okay.
I just read the title.
Sign outside the zone.
The sign outside the zone.
You
I see where I'm headed.
The zone.
God, what's in the zone?
Are we going to have to watch The Wizard of Oz together?
I really thought the zone was going to be, as I mentioned on our V2 documentary podcast, I thought the zone was going to be the search for all of the like V2 scraps, but that's already happened.
Boom, it's done. Glad we watched that movie right in time.
Slothrop has to go find Escarot.
Yeah.
Maybe he goes to White Sands.
I guess the Schwartz Commando are in the zone. And the
anarchists,
the anarchists are trying to get in the zone.
Argentinians.
The Soviets are in the zone, that's for sure. That worries the British.
Might be a little East and West Germany action going on.
Perhaps Pointsman can be the East and West synthesis.
Pointsman tears down the wall in the final chapter.
Yeah, based on the Fu Manchu illusions, I'm wondering if this voice means a further east than
Also possible.
Russia.
The East-West Germany came immediately to mind.
Could be all of the above. What do we think about book 2? Different than book 1. I would say this felt much more like reading a Thomas Pynchon novel.
I don't know. I feel like book 1 felt sort of a little cozy in London, kind of like the New York City chapters of V,
but it was missing the Bacchanal.
Yeah.
The
Anyways, book
ribaldry.
2 had the Bacchanal for sure,
Yeah.
as well as the like globe-trotting adventures.
Wonder, how is book 3 going to put these pieces together? Where are we going? Because I feel like we talked about how we thought book 1 was going to be sort of the introduction to everything that we would expect to develop in books 2, 3, and 4. But book 2 feels like it's now just more exposition. So is book 3 going to be the action develops, or is it going to be more exposition, and then book 4 is when the action develops?
True Gravity's Rainbow starts here, I feel like.
This novel spans a much larger length of time than I thought it did. I thought we'd be in the war the whole time, but we're done and finished with that. Moving on.
There's still the war in Japan.
There's not going to be another V2 rocket that falls in the course of this book.
Do we have a guarantee that history is going to progress in this book as it does in our own world? Is a thing I'm wondering. Like, could there just be a bunch more V2s that start getting launched? Like, at what point does Gravity's Rainbow perhaps start to diverge from...
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't, like, to my knowledge, a real Schwartz Commando situation. So we could be entering sort of like a...
zone.
Philip Roth alternate reality.
Yeah.
We've had some hints at the time travel and ghost situation as well, so... I could see things getting weird in the zone.
The zone kind of reminds me of like Roadside Picnic, the Strugatsky's zone, or like Tarkovsky's Stalker.
It was the same thing.
Yeah, but if someone recognizes one of the titles and not the other one,
Okay,
I wanted
fair.
to give both.
It's a good zone in Roadside Picnic. I feel like this zone's not going to be as fun.
Yeah, there might be a small furry child like there is in Roadside Picnic. Yeah, I'm pleased with our perm of Casino Hermann Goring, all told. Solid section of the book.
It was a good perm.
Yeah. I feel like it introduced a lot that I will remember from this book. I will remember Tyrone Slothrop's shirt.
All of his outfits. Legendary.
Yeah. I will remember the hashish hollandaise.
I'm going to make myself some broccoli with hollandaise sauce. Sounds really good.
Yep.
Gravity's Rainbow is winning so far as Pynchon books we've read with tastiest food.
Yeah.
The Benny Profane's mom spread was pretty good.
Yeah, and Oedipa's like, what were they, like ZTs, like Italian?
Oh, the like lasagna or something?
Lasagnas, yeah, that seemed pretty tasty, but it's no banana breakfast. It's no broccoli and hollandaise.
No surprises of various types.
Yeah, those I'll leave out of my menu.
Gourd Surprise, I liked. I like the idea of Gourd Surprise.
I don't trust anything to do with Brigadier Pudding at this point.
Well, he might be dead before we encounter him again, so we shall see. Let's wrap it there. I feel good.
Same.
I hope you feel good, listener. Thank you for listening to Pynchon Pals, and thank you to Andrew Tillett.
Thank you, everybody.
And to Duri Long.
Thank you
for joining me. If you like what we're doing here, we'd love it if you left us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or really wherever you would like to leave reviews for podcasts you listen to. Some podcast platforms don't let you leave written reviews, and I think that's a shame because what are numbers? Numbers aren't words. Words are good. So find a spot to do that. On our next episode, we'll be reading episodes 3.1 and 3.2, which is roughly until page 319 in our copy of the book. If you'd like to get in touch with the show or submit a question to be answered on air, you can reach us at pynchonpals@gmail.com. To support the work we do here, you can head to patreon.com/pynchonpals. Our theme music is Horology by the inimitable King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, released under a Creative Commons Attribution No Derivatives license on the album Polygon Dwanaland. Pynchon Pals is produced and edited by me, Patrick Fiorilli. You can find more of my work alongside my newsletter Critical Theory Craft at my website, www.patf.io. Until next time.
See you in the zone, Tyrone.
Hey.
Wow. Give it up. When did you think of that?
While you were talking about King Giz.
That's professionalism.
It's been a while since we've had a good off-the-cuff one.
It has.
So I'm glad something came.
I'm glad it finally worked out.